Everyone, welcome back. How is everyone doing today? The weather here is gorgeous once again. We once again had another blizzard last week and the snow melted super fast. And we did have two unexpected events came up during the week that involved the furnace and one of our cats. And I have that at the end where I'll show you about that. So we are in week 10 of Voyage 11. And originally it started off with $8,020, and this is a balance transfer that was on Discover 2, and the due date of March 23rd is when it needed to be paid off, which is today. So we will see if that happened. And we have 10 little whales joining our 10-week voyage with us. So then we go on to the bills that were due this week. We had the electric bill for $85.61. And then what I actually did on the 19th, I used my American Express card to pay the electric bill. And then the American Express bill itself is due on March 27th and had a minimum payment of $76.85. So in the whole scheme of things, what I did was, obviously I said I had used the American Express to pay the electric bill, and then I went ahead and made that $85.61 payment to the American Express for the electric bill. So that covered up that minimum payment there. And then for checking, I did go ahead and start putting the paycheck into line of credit 1. And then the checking itself started off with $26.69. And then from line of credit 1, I withdrew $950 on the 21st. So that made checking $976.69. We then did make that final payment to Discover 2 for that balance transfer due on March 23rd. We did that on March 21st, so we got it paid in the time we needed to. So after withdrawing that $900, we then had $76.69. And then I did do a withdrawal of cash for $50 on that same day of March 21st. And that brought down the balance to $26.69. And then I did take $85.61 from line of credit 1, bringing that up to $112.30. And then I went ahead and paid the American Express, which had the electric bill paid on that for the $85.61. So then checking once again went down to $26.69. And then the rest of the paycheck just stayed in that line of credit 1. And then we will look at our captain's log, where we start off with week 1. We had done a payment of $820 to that $8,020, bringing it down to $7,200. And then weeks 2 and 3 both got a payment of $450. After week 2, it went down to $6,750. And then week 3 brought it down to $6,300. We then in week 4 made a $900 payment, bringing it down to $5,400. Then week 5, $900 again, brought it down to $4,500. And then once again week 6, another $900 payment, brought it down to $3,600. Week 7, once again we did $900 payment, bringing it down to $2,700. And week 8, another $900 payment, brought the balance down to $1,800. Week 9 was also a $900 payment, which brought it down to $900. And then week 10, we did that final $900 payment. So now that balance transfer of $8,020 is now at $0. So then we've paid out $8,020 on this journey on week 10. So then the full amount from the beginning of our voyages has us paying off $46,269.87 as the total amount. And then now that we're done with voyage number 11, we have voyage number 12 to think about. And I have the next balance transfer, which is going to be on Discover 1. For $8,220. And then it's actually due on June 13th. So the next voyage would start on March 28th. They would go to June 13th, and that would be for a 12-week time span. And what I did was I went ahead and calculated how much it would take to pay off that $8,220 in that 12-week time frame. And then I came up with $685. It's the amount that would be needed. So at the moment, it's looking like we will probably try to do $685 out of the $1,000 paycheck, which would give us $315 a week to pay towards our other bills. And the unexpected expenses came to where it turned out the furnace repair, we had thought it was just the thermostat needed a battery change. And yeah, it did need a battery change, but then after we changed the battery, the furnace wasn't turning on, or rather it did, but it wasn't staying on. And when we went down to check on it, it was kind of this funny smell where it smelled a little burny. And as it turns out, there wasn't a part of the furnace that wasn't working, so they did need to replace that. And so that came up to $720. It's looking like we haven't got the final bill on it yet, but I believe $720 is what it's going to be. And then we also had to take our cat to the vet this morning. There was something wrong with his paw, and he had to get a shot and some antibiotics. And so that came up to almost $200. And I did put both of these unexpected expenses on the Citibank. So at the moment, I'm thinking about possibly running these two items along voyage 12. And the furnace repair would be about $60 a week, and the vet bill would be about $17 a week. And both these items are on the Citibank card. So I'm kind of pondering about doing that. So it looks like so next week I will start running everything through the line of credit one, which I already had started doing this week. So what I will do is I will start showing that activity as well. So we'll have everything running through the line of credit line of credit one. And I think what we will do is do the payment parking on line of credit 2. Since the balance transfer is actually 0% until June 13th, what I'm thinking about doing is just making the minimum payments out of line of credit 2 and just leaving line of credit 2 as parking the payments to it. That way we can cut down the amount of interest on line of credit 2, and also that would make the payments on line of credit 2 into cash flow as well. So we'll initially do putting the line of credit 1 as the paycheck goes in, and then we would post the payments to the line of credit 2 as a way to cover both of those payments, so that way there's more cash flow for the next voyage. And I'm trying to get where we'll be able to pay everything out of this 315. So we'd have 315 times 4 would be our monthly amount, and that comes to $1,260 to pay bills. And I think we should be able to do that without too much trouble, because now that we've got our voyage 11 done, which was on Discover 2, that payment has now dropped down to like $166 a month, so that's gonna be a lot easier to deal with that payment. And then we'll just have that Citibank transfer, which is only gonna need like $60 a month on that one. So we have several bills that have gotten a lot lower in payments, so we will have that working in our favor for the next voyage as well. So please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Please like and subscribe to follow my journey, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.